Hello, everybody. Welcome to our April 14th regular council meeting here. It is 4:30. It's a meeting of the whole, sorry. I had my regular looking at that. Anyways, our meeting of the whole, get that sorted out. And it is 4:30. For our announcements, I'll start with the announcements because I got two times to go. So our residents are invited to a public information open house for the town of Drumheller's 2026 to 2029 strategic plan. You can drop in anytime to learn about our upcoming projects, priorities, and initiatives for the community. It's casual come and go event, and it gives you a chance to look at our information displays, ask questions, and get a better understanding of the programs and services available. Everyone is welcome at the BCF from May 6th from 4 to 7. Councillor or Deputy Mayor Kalafa.
Thank you. I just want to say on behalf of Mayor, Council, and Administration, we wish Reg Bennett, our facilities manager, a well-earned and happy retirement. He's been here almost 30 years, ensuring that our facilities are running smoothly and providing important history of the valley. And he's always been a supporter of the Dragons. So congratulations and thank you for all your service.
Yeah, that's a good deal there. He's happy, I know that. All right, and Councillor Hanson.
Thank you. Darts is holding a fundraiser for transportation to their Special Olympics bowling tournament. Clean out your closets of clothing, household textiles, sellable small items like appliances and books. You can call Sherilyn, good one, Sepanley, sorry, at 403-823-2226. They will be accepting donations till May 15th.
Right on, thanks for that. That's a good one for the darts people there. And then Councillor Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Badlands Amphitheater Studio Space will be presenting Aurora Night fundraiser on April 18th at 7 p.m. in the Drum Distillery. And this event will feature live music with the Steve Fletcher Trio, and it will also feature an Aurora projection show, some delicious small bite snacks, and amazing craft cocktails courtesy of the hosts. Tickets for this event are available at thebadlandsamp.com or call 403-823-2001.
Sounds like a kind of a cool event there. Councillor McNeil.
Thank you. Well, the Drumheller Valley Family and Community Support Services, or FCSS grant applications, are open until April 30th. Agencies, nonprofit organizations, schools are invited to apply. The application forms are located on the Town of Drumheller website, and if you require more information, please call the FCSS department at 403-823-1367.
Right on, thanks for that. And Councillor Miller.
So Reality Bites, and aerial internet scholarship opportunity for science and technology fans to apply, is rapidly approaching. You can go to their website for full details or contact cshoff at realitybitesinc.com prior to the deadline, which is April 16th.
I'm sure somebody can use a little help with that. And then I'll do another one. The Heart to Heart Society of Drumheller will be doing their 25th annual walkathon tomorrow, Wednesday, April 15th, from 8 to 1 p.m., then again from 5 to 8 p.m. at the BCF. This year's proceeds are going towards the purchase of vital signs machines to support patients at the Drumheller Health Center. So there's a good initiative right there too. All right, so that's it for that. So we'll do our adoption of the agenda. Can I get someone to adopt the agenda for today? Councillor Hardy.
I'll make a motion that the Committee of the Whole adopts the agenda for the April 14th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting as presented.
Thank you for that. Can I get a seconder? Councillor McNeil. Thank you. All right. We got a delegation, so we're, what? Oh, sorry, yeah. All in favor? Okay. Adopting our agenda. All right. I missed that one. Okay, so now we'll get our delegations, our Chamber of Commerce.
Excellent. So, good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and Administration. Thank you for welcoming us to today's Committee of the Whole meeting. My name is Lana Phillips. I'm the current president of the board. I'm joined today by our executive director, Heather Bitts. Today, we're providing you with an overview of our organization alongside highlights from 2025. So the Drumheller and District Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit, membership-driven organization comprised of businesses, organizations, and individuals committed to building a strong business community. We work towards this mission through our 4 pillars, including the promotion of local business, awareness of membership benefits in the Chamber of Commerce, advocacy on behalf of our membership at the local, provincial, and federal levels, and providing opportunities for our members to learn, share, and network. Our strategic plan, renewed every 3 years, informs how we move forward on accomplishing our mission. Our chamber is governed by the Volunteer Board of Directors. The board is responsible for managing and directing the affairs of the chamber and upholding the chamber's governing documents, including the strategic plan. The board is comprised of 11 directors, and the executive is made of 3 officer positions. That includes myself, Tammy Dietrich as Vice President, and Jennifer Dixon as the Secretary-Treasurer. Our 8 directors at large are listed on the screen. At our AGM last month, all officer and director positions were acclaimed, with 2 new members joining the board. Our newest board members are Colin Chisholm of Canadian Tire and Samantha Haddon of MH Enterprises. We aim to have representation from a range of industries and experiences on the board, to support good governance and a diversity of perspectives, knowledge, and skills. I'll now pass it to Heather.
Thank you. So while we are a Chamber of Commerce, our organization is much more than that. We are a business advocacy organization, a tourism attraction operator, a visitor services provider, a government service partner, and a steward of community landmarks. Serving the Drumheller Valley since the early 1900s, the Chamber continues to be a forward-thinking, proactive, and a vital asset in building a strong local economy. Our members are the foundation of the Chamber. With 213 members, including 11 new last year, we provide support to them through communications, business visits, networking and educational opportunities, ribbon cuttings, and grand openings. As the voice of business, we advocate for our members by supporting key economic development initiatives and highlighting rural business priorities. Activities last year included submitting letters of support to MH Enterprises, the Badlands Amphitheatre, Valley Ice Cream Shop, and the Town of Drumheller for grant applications, representing electrical transmission and distribution disparity concerns at the provincial level via the Alberta Chambers of Commerce and the Fair Electricity Distribution Alliance, as well as hosting federal and municipal election forums. Building relationships with members and community stakeholders remains a priority, helping us to understand business needs and provide support. In early 2025, the Chamber helped conduct the 2nd Business Needs Survey in collaboration with Travel Drumheller, Community Futures, the Town, and MH Enterprises. Data from this survey inform policy and reflect the health of our business community. Events like our Lunch and Learns, networking mixers, and general meetings offer valuable opportunities to connect and learn. Through provincial and national chamber affiliations, members can benefit from a wide range of value-added programs. These include fuel and shipping discounts, payroll services, merchant processing, and human resource tools. The Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan continues to be one of the most popular benefits, giving small and medium-sized businesses access to competitive group health coverage. Back to Lana.
So the Chamber is on a multi-year journey to refocus its operations on the activities supporting and advocating for our business community and fostering growth and opportunity for our members. At our 2025 AGM, we shared with our membership and community that at the end of our lease in 2029, we would be transitioning away from the operations of the dinosaur and in compliance with our release, demolish the dinosaur. This announcement has continued us down our transition path with renewed interest in alternatives to demolition and a landmark year for operations. In 2025, we had record visitation with over 154,000 visitors, making the 106-step trek up to the viewing platform. This year's visitation was 6% higher than our former highest year, 2021. In October, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the world's largest dinosaur, with over 500 people enjoying parking lot festivities, birthday cake, and free admission. Following a busy summer, the dinosaur closed for a month to support repairs and updates. To start the closure, a site revisit for the structural assessment was completed by Williams Engineering. This was followed by exterior repairs and painting by F&D scene changes. While the exterior work took place, the gift shop underwent a refresh with the help of a retail consultant. The world's largest dinosaur is a one-of-a-kind structure subject to daily wear and tear from the weather and ongoing, often custom maintenance needs. The assessment completed earlier this year outlines the current condition of the dinosaur, along with setting expectations for the maintenance requirements, investment, and lifespan in the coming years beyond the Chamber's stewardship. The results of this assessment align with our understanding of the dinosaur's maintenance needs developed over the last 25 years of operation. The assessment confirms the dinosaur is structurally sound and safe for visitors. The longevity of the structural components is impacted by proactive maintenance. Unsurprisingly, the steel components have a longer lifespan of between 10 to 25 years, whereas the fiberglass shell has a lifespan of about 8 to 10 years. It is unknown at such time if or when the exterior would need to be replaced rather than repaired or refurbished. The assessment outlines recommended maintenance and estimated pricing, although it's noteworthy that the listed pricing are probable costs in current dollars and do not include things like contingency, GST, operational impacts, or engineering fees. Our experience has seen maintenance needs and costs increase over time, and looking back, it's been over $100,000 every 10 years. In the fall, the Chamber undertook the largest recurring expense, the repair, refurbishing, and repainting of the exterior. This investment of around $300,000 would be required in another 5 to 8 years. The board has committed funds to complete further recommend maintenance in 26 and 27 budget years. This continued investment is aligned with the Chamber's maintenance standards and enables future alternatives to be explored beyond the expiry of the Chamber's lease. The Chamber is open to thoughtful, well-developed, and funded proposals for the dinosaur beyond 2029. We look to the town to cooperatively engage over the coming years towards this 2029 transition.
So with regards to our Visitor Information Center, it is the primary point of contact for visitors to our community and plays a key role in promoting the region's unique offerings and supporting our local economy. In 2025, our staff assisted more than 30,000 visitors in person. Since the pandemic, though, our VIC has seen significant shifts in tourism trends and how visitors access information. More travelers now plan their trips in advance using online resources, reducing the demand for in-person services. As digital tools expand, many operators have also scaled back their print materials. Over time, this shift will further reduce the need for a brick-and-mortar VIC. Our chamber has operated the VIC on behalf of the town since the 1990s and remains one of the few centers open year-round. The town of Drumheller contributes $63,500 annually towards our operations, while the remaining portion of the nearly $186,000 budget is subsidized with revenues supported by the world's largest dinosaur and gift shop. The Chamber is proud to support numerous initiatives that benefit the local business community, some of which the town is or has been involved with previously. Through our Legacy Fund, 10% of gross World's Largest Dinosaur gift shop admissions and sales have returned $890,000 to the community over the last 20 years. Last year, $40,000 was distributed to local nonprofits, including the Badlands Amphitheater, Homestead Museum, Rosebud School of the Arts, and Royal Canadian Legion Branch number 22. Legacy funds also support the Chamber's contribution to the Business Enhancement Grant, which in 2025 aided 8 local businesses with additional funding support from the town and Community Futures. In 2026, the Chamber remains committed to supporting the community through these legacy fund investments. The Chamber continues to be involved in Home Share Drumheller, which aims to help address local housing challenges. And in partnership with Travel Drumheller, we secured funding through the Alberta Chambers of Commerce last year to host a hybrid job fair in March, and we actively supported the Drum Discovery Customer Service Training Program. We are proud to support our local youth with our Business Leader of Tomorrow scholarships awarded to a grade 12 student pursuing post-secondary education in a business program. And lastly, the Chamber is involved in 2 major community events. In partnership with Travel Drumheller and the Rotary Club, we co-host the annual Celebration of Excellence, and the Chamber serves as the Festival of Lights sponsorship lead, which is key to the success of the event as it is entirely funded by sponsors.
As we look ahead, our focus is clear. The Chamber is returning to its core as a strong, unified voice for business and a catalyst for economic growth in our community. At the same time, we're committed to a thoughtful and responsible transition from the service and asset we steward. The Chamber has been part of Drumheller's foundation for over a century. As we evolve, we will continue to be an anchor organization, bringing partners together, championing business, and helping shape a resilient and thriving local economy. We look forward to continuing this journey. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the Chamber and the role we play here in Drumheller.
Right on. Thank you for that. Got any questions, anyone? If you're open to questions. Councillor Miller.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation today, ladies. I was going to ask about your VIC. So the $63,500 contribution yearly from the town. I understand now that that is specifically for the VIC. Okay. And then I see the expenses are 186,000. Is the VIC not making money anymore at this point?
Sorry. So as part of our budgeting process and our various areas of operations, we allocate expenses according to departments. So the Visitor Information Center is a department, like the World's Largest Dinosaur, and Gift Shop is a department, Chamber Operations. So we're allocating resources across the various departments, but Visitor Information Center would include staffing resources and any costs specific to Visitor Center operations. So yes, the $63,500 helps cover some of those costs, but it doesn't fully cover the year-round operational costs of the VIC associated with that. Largest cost is staffing.
Councillor McNeil.
Yes, hello. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. Interested in terms of the 30,000 visitors that you counseled at the VIC. How does that compare, say, with the last 5 years? I know COVID certainly changed things dramatically, but I'd just like to understand if there's been an increase.
Good question. Certainly since COVID, we've seen that number decline. It's been fairly steady at around 30,000 the last couple of years. Prior to COVID, our numbers were probably closer to 50,000 visitors counseled. So we've seen a decline in that over time and dropped off with COVID, but then it's come back. So I'm forecasting that 30,000 will be probably the average number we'll continue to see.
Great, thank you. And then you mentioned that in terms of the visitors to the world's largest dinosaur to climb the steps, it was a really large number last year. Pardon me. And so previous to that, though, what did you see? Was it around 100,000 mark?
Our 5-year average has jumped to the last 5 years. Like after coming out of COVID, our numbers have come back. So that's positive. Last year was a record year since opening, but normal visitation on an annual basis, we were seeing previously like 120 to 130. So that number, that average over 5 years has steadily increased, but it's really hard to predict from year to year where we'll land. But we also track the Royal Ontario Museum numbers as well, and we know the last couple of years they've had strong growth, and we normally see somewhere between 25 and 33% of the visitors that the Royal Ontario gets. So we're tracking the numbers that way.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions? I'm just kind of wondering with our, with the way the dinosaur contributes to the neighborhood and everything like that, because you were saying the numbers for the legacy grant, how much was that? I got distracted there for a bit.
That we gave out last year or overall?
Well, over the years, let's say overall.
Overall, we're approaching $900,000 given back to the community in 20 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of give back out of that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of participation here throughout the valley. There's a lot of people working there, and there's a lot of people visiting there. It's we've seen a lot of traffic from that whole announcement there. That's really shone the light on the dinosaur here for being the iconic piece in the valley that it is, right? I think you could say that. So what are we looking at for this dinosaur?
We'll continue to have those discussions as we've agreed to.
Right.
As we've said, we're open to well thought out funded proposals, and I know you and Esther, continue, the CAO, we're working through that. So nothing has changed since the last time we've talked or since our media releases, that we continue to have those conversations about what the future beyond our stewardship might look like. And as I mentioned, we're continuing to focus on what we need to do as an organization to transition away from that. So we continue to be open to those discussions.
Anybody else got anything else? Councillor McNeil?
I just wanted to mention, because I have been involved in Dino Arts for several years and I stepped down from the board earlier this year, but I just wanted to commend the Chamber for all of your support for Dino Arts and the small dino statues throughout the town, because I also think they're pretty iconic and pretty cool. And so really appreciate the support from the Chamber for the dino statues. I know a lot of our visitors and our own residents get a lot out of them. They really enjoy them.
Thank you, Cheryl. Much appreciated.
Anything else? Councillor Miller?
Would you ladies be open to sharing a little bit about what the future of the Drumheller and District Chamber of Commerce will look like in a few years after transitioning away from the dinosaur?
I think it's just refocusing on the part of that we get to do only partially because of the world's largest dinosaur. So it remains business advocacy. It remains working with different levels of government and working to develop our economy. Part of the reason we're leveraging these next few years is to plan that out, because that's not something that transition doesn't happen overnight. So we're working with our board to sort out what that looks like. So really, it's just going to be leveled up and continuing the legacy we have for the last 100 years.
Thank you.
All right. No further questions from anybody? No? Okay, I'll get a motion then. Deputy Mayor Kalafa?
I move that the Committee of the Whole accepts the presentation from the Drumheller and District Chamber of Commerce as information.
Thank you for that. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Miller? All in favor? Okay. Thank you, ladies. All right, so we'll have our report from admin.
Thank you, Your Worship. CEO office today has a presentation for our new policy we're proposing for a proclamation and letter of support policy. This policy is been created in order to provide guidance through a standardized process for the submission and consideration of these types of requests that are made to council. It would also provide clarity to the public regarding the types of requests that may be considered by council. Administration routinely receives these, as does the mayor directly, from organizations and individuals seeking official proclamations or letters of support for the town of Drumheller. Historically, responses have been handled on an ad hoc basis without a guided framework, resulting in inconsistencies and administrative uncertainty, and therefore unclear expectations for applicants. Administration has also received national and international proclamation requests, which have no direct association with the town or council priorities. Often, the letters of support requests are last minute with information gaps that increase staff time and make it difficult to produce effectual letters of support in a timely manner. To address these challenges, the attached proposed proclamation and letter of support policy clarifies how requests are evaluated and requires the applicant or sponsoring organization to maintain a presence in the town. It defines the number of proclamations and letters of support requests the town will consider from an applicant each year. It introduces a standardized process for intake, review, approval, and communication of the decisions. It gives the mayor the authority to issue any proclamation or letter of support on behalf of council, with the requirement that letters of support be circulated to council for approval prior to issuance. It also requires the applicants to supply sufficient information for proclamations and letters of support. And it establishes that all letters of support are in principle only and do not obligate the town to any other form of financial or in-kind support. These changes to the process are intended to both ease the administrative burden of processing these requests and to align with the town's commitment to transparent, structured, and accountable decision-making processes. There is no financial implications of the policy. This policy is in line with our pillar number 2, which is developing a healthy and thriving community where we deliver infrastructure, services, and partnerships that support health, safety, mobility, recreation, and overall quality of life for residents. Our public participation strategy, we will inform the public of the newly established process on our website, including an accessible online request form. Administration's recommendation today is that the Committee of the Whole directs administration to bring this policy back to council for consideration at the May 5th, 2026 regular meeting of council as presented. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Can I get a motion? Councillor Hardy?
I'll move that the Committee of the Whole directs administration to bring the proclamation and letter of support policy to council for consideration at the May 5th, 2026 regular meeting of council as presented.
Thank you for that. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Hanson? All in favor? Oh, any discussion? Yeah, we got discussion, sorry. Deputy Mayor Kalafa.
Thank you. I understand the thought process, especially 4.5C. Applicant does not maintain a presence in the town of Drumheller. I think we may need to flesh out presence because I think there are things that would affect Drumheller that would align with us. That I'm thinking of things like stars. I'm thinking of things that the United Way contributes to FCSS in some ways. These are organizations that may not necessarily have a presence, but it still may be something that we would want to support. I don't know if we can word this better, have an effect or something like that is my thoughts anyway.
Through the chair, yes, we can definitely flesh out better what presence means. And I think those are all valid points. We'll work that in. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor McNeil?
Yes, thank you. I have a suggested edit on the policy as well. So under 2.1, it states in their causes or initiatives that are beneficial to the town of Drumheller. I was thinking also of interest, to add in also of interest. And I borrowed that wording actually from 6.1C. So in 6.1C, under the letters of support, it says a description of how an event, cause, or initiative benefits or is of interest to the town of Drumheller and its residents. And so I sort of thought then to add in of interest under 2.1.
Thank you. Through the chair, we will make that amendment as well.
Anywhere else? Anyone else have a chance to have a look at it? All right. Okay. Then we'll get our all in favors then. All in favor? Carried. All right. Then we got our 5.2. Yeah, flood mitigation program director. Ms. Blakely.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm Dayan Blakely. I'm the Flood Program Director, and I'm here this evening to speak about the Drought and Flood Protection Program grant funding. So we had previously applied for funding through this program in the fall of 2024, among other grant funding programs when it was looking like we were going to be short a budget to complete the flood program. In the spring of 2025, the provincial government informed us that we were not going to receive a grant from the DFPP because we had already received one and we had received other provincial funding as well. But they did have a change in that stance very recently, and so we were informed a few weeks ago that they were going to change the clause in the grant funding program to allow recipients to get the grant multiple times. And so our grant application went in with the batch that was received in 2025. And we subsequently heard that we were successful in the grant application. And so what we had applied for back in 2024 was for temporary adaptive flood protection materials. So there are a few locations in Drumheller where our permanent barriers could not be constructed because of space constraints or access. So those would be in Midland along the existing flood wall. We weren't able to construct a complete earthfill barrier there because of the space constraints. We would have had to remove the road. The same in Newcastle. There's about a 290-meter section there where we have a Jersey barrier flood wall right now that doesn't meet the 100-year flood level. If we wanted to build the full earthfill berm, again, we would have had to remove the road and cut off access to those homes. And there's a couple of other road crossings in Newcastle where space is constrained, and as well a short section of downtown berm where we looked at temporary adaptive fill. So we grouped those together along with the stop logs that were required at the Rosedale berm. So at the suspension bridge, there's some cables that come off the bridge that were in the way of constructing an earthfill barrier there as well. And so we needed to have a temporary removable section of that berm. So we grouped all those together and applied for the grant funding. And very recently, as recently as last week, we found out that we were successful in receiving that grant application. And so the overall program cost for those temporary flood adaptive fill is estimated in 2024 was estimated to be $481,000. That's for the purchase of material, supply, and installation in temporary stockpiles for the clay that's planned for Midland and Newcastle. With the grant funding program, it is a 70-30 split between the province and the town. So the province has agreed to provide the town with $337,000 of funding support, and the ask would be for the town to provide their matching 30% at $144,000 to be able to leverage that grant. We would, I guess we would like to move forward with that program, because if we don't do it now proactively, if we do need to do it during an emergency event, there is a risk that, due to some recent changes to the provincial disaster recovery program, that the province would not reimburse the town to haul in that clay and build those measures, or to purchase flood tubes on short notice as needed for flood protection. And so I think that the only other point is, you may have noticed that the Rosedale berm is done and the stop log gate work is complete there. And so we did speak with our provincial funding partners about that, asking if we could retroactively charge for that work and then free up some of the funding that was already used to pay for that to cover other costs. And they did ask if we could write a letter to the Minister of Environment to make that request. So that's a little bit of an unknown right now, but if they don't allow that, then the funding amount would be slightly reduced, as would the town's contribution on that front. So we did forecast that the flood program is going to be have a surplus of budget. This was reported to council just back in March, that we would have, over $600,000 left in the budget upon completion. And so you might be asking, well, why don't we just use those funds? But we do expect that those funds are going to be needed to cover expropriation damages as those settlements come through. So that amount that we reported in March was not including any of the expropriation legal fees or damages to come, just because of the uncertainty around those. So again, we're requesting committee of the whole to consider whether or not we should accept this grant funding.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. Anybody got any questions? Deputy Mayor? Oh. Okay, we need a motion. We'll get a motion then. Deputy Mayor Kalafa.
I move that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Council the inclusion of the temporary adaptive flood protection project in the 2026 capital budget at $481,000 to be funded by the Alberta Drought and Flood Protection Program grant in the amount of $337,000 and the Town of Drumheller capital reserves in the amount of $144,000.
Thank you for that. Can I get a seconder? Councilor McNeil. Any questions? Councilor Miller?
Thank you. So the money that we have left over currently that you're saying we're going to earmark for the expropriations, when I read the agenda, my understanding was that we weren't allowed to use it for anything else. Is that the case, or is it just the case that we're thinking it would be better to save it for expropriations? Could you clarify that, please?
So the money left over in the flood program is all through a special grant program that the province gave us. And so one thing that's mentioned in here is, could we use that for the 30% matching? And the province has said, no, we need the municipalities to have some stake in the project. So it has to be funding coming from the municipality. And that's why it's not that it can't be used for other things. We could not use this grant funding and use those funds for temporary adaptive fill project, but then that reduces the amount of money that we have available for expropriations later.
Councilor McNeil?
Thank you for your presentation. Interesting information. I'm interested in terms of the fill, just a couple of questions on that. Where will you source the fill from?
So we'll probably put together a request for bids for this and get contractors to propose where they would like to bring it in from. What we've seen for the berms themselves, it is coming from up out of the valley, is the better clay material that we like to see used for berms.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I was also interested, because I was thinking that residents may be able to view these stockpiles, from Midland and Newcastle. And just, I just, when, with those stockpiles sitting there, I just don't want to see weed growth on top of them. So will they be covered with any material?
What we had discussed in the past was working with our landscape architects to provide some type of grass or vegetated cover. But there was also interest from other groups in town in terms of building toboggan hills or pump tracks or a secondary purpose of that. So if this is something that we're going to move forward with, we would definitely coordinate with our landscape architect teams on that.
Thank you.
I think that's a good point because you don't get much growing on clay. You won't be able to grow much on clay. So that was a discussion that we thought we were having originally was the pump track uh, at the down by the Cahoot crossing there. So that would be a good place, a good use of that stuff, right? So we could be looking at secondary uses of it. It wouldn't be just a big pile of dirt sitting there growing weeds. So we'll have to utilize and come up with better ways for that. Uh, those those um, those open berm sides there on that. How what level is our water? Our berm protection to now on those spots without having that dirt to put on top of there.
So for the Midland and Newcastle, the current burn protection in the section where those walls are is about a flow rate of 1,420 cubic meters per second. And I believe that equates to about somewhere between a 1 in 20 and 1 in 35 year flood. And just for comparison, the rest of the berms are designed to a flow rate of 1850 cubic meters per second.
Right on. And then how about the at the suspension bridge where the gap would be in there for those barriers?
That one I would have to get back to you on. I don't know that number off the top of my head.
Okay, it's just those pieces need to, the way the berms are set here now, we've done a lot of work, spent a lot of money on something that we need to be able to close that gap. This is a needed resource.
And for the suspension bridge, again, as I mentioned, those stop logs have been purchased as part of the Rosedale berm. So they're sitting there on site in a cabinet. Actually, the town is doing training tomorrow on those. So that for those, it's just a question of whether or not we can retroactively fund them using this program or not.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Anybody else? Any other questions? Councillor Miller?
Just a quick numbers question. So the two floods, the major ones in the early 2000s, were those 1 in 100-year floods or 1 in 35, or what were they?
Um, just off the top of my head, I believe 2005 was the bigger flood, and it was around that 1420 or 1450 cubic meters per second. And that's why the berms are at the current level. So at the time they were built, they were a 100-year flood. But as time goes by and you have more frequent flooding, then the 100-year flood estimate goes up. So that's why now it's at 1850. The 2013 flood, I believe, was around 1,230 cubic meters per second. So it wasn't quite as big of a flood.
So the berms that we've got now would probably contain something of that size, is what you're saying.
So Newcastle and Midland were built to the 1 in 100-year flood at the time they were built, which is that 1420.
Thanks.
Councillor Henson?
One of the questions I got is with the bridge just being reworked, the Gordon Taylor Bridge, it was brought to people's attention and nobody seemed to listen about it. The two previous floods that we've had, we had to put a hole on the west side of the bridge in order to clear debris away from the bridge so we wouldn't take the bridge out. Now, unfortunately, with the pathway being pedestrian being put on that side instead of the opposite side, I'm not sure how you're gonna handle that one, or how flood mitigation is gonna handle it, or because you're gonna need something with a long reach in order to get over that pathway and be able to get down there and clear the debris so it don't take out the Gordon Taylor Bridge.
I get, that would be something that would have to be determined, I think, at the time of a flood event, if there is a debris issue. I'm not sure if any of those sections are removable or not.
Anything else? Anybody else? Got another one? Okay, Counselor Hanson.
Okay, I got one more. I'm not sure who's supposed to be looking after the sites at this time, but some of them are in pretty sad shape. One of the incidents we had over by the hospital was the road was flooded and everything there. But at the time when everybody pulled out last fall, the culverts were punched in, and in the direction that the flow was supposed to take down to the river, it wasn't cleaned up. There's cardboard down there, big boxes from the site that were left there, so it kind of everything got blocked, and including the high vegetation, which would make it hard for any fluid or any water to run down that way. And for that, they pretty much lost half the road there for a good part of the spring.
So are you speaking, I guess, which area of 9th Street were you speaking about?
This is over by the hospital, going down that road. I'm not sure what the road is. What is it? 9th Street, down in there. And well, we got letters also about it, that it it was over half the road that was covered. And again, the drainage part of it was plugged up, and the water couldn't flow down there, right? And you would have thought that that would have been cleaned up before they took off in the fall for the spring runoff.
Yeah, I guess I'll comment in terms of what I know about that area is Alberta Health has been undertaking a project there last year. So our contractor wrapped up in about July and cleaned up the site and left at that time. And we did do an inspection together with Wilco once they demobilized from site. But then Alberta Health's contractor moved in the fall to do their riprap placement. And we have received some complaints about the condition of the site through the flood office as recently as yesterday. And we did pass those along to the engineering consultant responsible for overseeing that work. And I understand the contractor was out yesterday to fix up the few issues that were noted. So there is some more work that's going to happen in the coming weeks to finish cleaning up the site, haul some spoil away. But if people are seeing concerns, they can certainly use the C-Click Fix or reach out to the flood office and let us know. And as soon as we know, we can have the contractors look at the sites and take care of things.
So that site over there, that AHS was taking care of that one?
Yeah, they took back over care of the laydown area in the site last summer, late summer.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up, because I know there were, I did hear things from that too. All right, okay, any further questions on this? No further questions? We'll take a vote. Go for our vote. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you for that, Deegan. Ms. Blakely. All right, now we got 5.3.1. Mr. Zier.
Okay, good evening, committee members. So what I have in front of you here is a request for decision to discuss some of the flood mitigation properties that the town currently holds here. The flood mitigation project was occurring over the last 7 years and involved multiple berms, construction of multiple berms, to protect millions of dollars of both residential and commercial assets within the valley. As part of this flood mitigation property, 8 full lot buyouts were acquired from residential properties. The town is now the title owner of these properties. And so in the interim, a lot of these properties have been rented out and managed through a property management company. What administration is coming forward right now is for a bit of a direction on council's wish on what to go forward with on these properties. So because of the potential disclosure of harmful economic interests, recommendations that these discussions are held in closed session. So the recommendation is that the committee closes the meeting to the public.
All right, can I get someone to make a motion then? Councillor McNeil?
Yes, I move that council closes the meeting to the public then at 5:25 to discuss the flood property management as per ATIA 29, advice from officials, and ATIA 30, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests.
Okay,
Point of order, just one quick, unfortunately, we have a typo in our RFD. It should actually be that the committee of the whole closed the meeting, not the council. Thank you, Councillor.
I apologize. Do I need to read that out again?
no,
Okay,
no, we'll be good.
thank you.
All right, so the committee of the whole, we have a seconder, Deputy Mayor Kalafa. And all in favor? Okay, carried. Okay, we're back from our closed session and we're back in open session here at 6:38 on our meeting for today, our committee of the whole meeting for today. Okay, so now we need to make a motion. Deputy Mayor Kalafa.
I'll move that the committee of the whole recommend that council direct administration to develop a request for proposals for real estate broker services for the sale of the flood mitigation residential properties included therein.
Thank you for that. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Hanson. Any further discussion on that? I don't think so. Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carried. All right, so then what do we got next? Our director of infrastructure, or is it our emergency protectors? No? Okay, our director of infrastructure, do our 5.4.1 downtown area revitalization plan. Mr. Bronstein, are you ready?
Thank you, Your Worship. Members of the committee, today we're going to go over the downtown area revitalization plan, kind of give you a high level presentation on what it entails in the DARP, why the DARP was developed, and some of the key things that came out of the DARP. So I'm going to start the presentation. Please ask questions throughout the presentation. Please engage in conversation. Again, this is the committee. This is where we have these great discussion points. So I'm encouraging ongoing discussion as these slides come in front of you guys. So what is the DARP? So the DARP was a legal planning document. So it was a land use document, development and investment for the downtown core. So this provides details on key initiatives for the revitalization of the downtown core. It's a coordinated strategy to revitalize downtown core. It sets vision and policy and action plans for the downtown core. As well as a roadmap to help community guide infrastructure upgrades. So this is the stuff that provides not only council, but administration and the development community on what the downtown area is going to look like now and into the future. So again, DARP's limitations, long-term guidance, not immediate approvals. So again, there's a lot of things in the DARP that are to guide redevelopment. They aren't set in stone requirements. So for instance, there are projects within the DARP that are encouraged to happen, but don't necessarily have to happen. Those are again, council's privy to review and to approve as part of the capital program. So an introduction. Downtown Drumheller is a rich history shaped by coal mining, unfortunately flooding, community growth, and it is reflected in the streets and the buildings and long-standing local memories. Today, the downtown is seen full of potential with opportunity to become a vibrant community hub, business center, and major attraction connected to the Badlands landscape. Current momentum supports revitalization with new businesses, flood mitigation, with the berm development, and strong regional tourism driven by the local museum. The DARP does provide a coordinated 15-year roadmap, guiding policies and actions to help develop the downtown core. So here is the vision. So this is the vision that was established as part of the DARP development. So again, these are the guiding principles. This is what the outcome is, and this is why the DARP was developed. So there were 5 pillars. So these, again, going back to the strategic planning that we just did, there are pillars within the DARP. So these are the pillars in which the DARP is focused on. So again, making the downtown the heart of public life, a place to discover, a prosperous center for business, a growing community, and a landscape connection. So that ties back to the redevelopment and what that looks like. So the plan area, everybody thinks it's the business area, where it's actually the downtown core is referencing the entire business area, including the residential areas to the east and to the west, as well as the recreational areas next to the river. There are 4 distinct districts. So there's the civic district, the downtown core district, the residential district west, and the residential district east. I know it's getting late, guys, but so some of the things that the DARP outlines are complete street designs, looking at all aspects to street design, including pedestrian, cyclists, mobility devices, and vehicles. So again, moving away from that vehicular focused downtown core to an all-inclusive downtown core. Sidewalks. So they must prioritize safe, accessible, and unobstructed pedestrian movement. So this will drive what the sidewalk widths will be, how these sidewalks will be developed. Some of the ways we are going to introduce accessibility, so putting in curb cuts where needed, providing the widths to allow people to walk in tandem, to allow accessibility scooters to go down without being hindered by obstacles within the sidewalk. Consolidating signage, ensuring utilities lightings don't impede pedestrian flow. So again, the current core is very congested. The sidewalks are fairly narrow. There's a lot of infrastructure on them. And again, this looks at the entire 4 districts. So if you walk in amongst the downtown area, these sidewalks are also very narrow. They're on average about 1 meter wide. Trees and vegetation, again, gearing towards street trees, trying to provide that boulevard, treed boulevard look, looking at native species, putting in low shrubbery, putting in grasses, providing that more of a green feel in those districts. Street furniture, again, trying to standardize street furniture across the downtown area, and again throughout the community. Right now we have a mixed bag of street furniture within the Drumheller Valley. So again, this is trying to focus that on particular types of furniture. Public parking and drop off. Parking must support downtown access without detriment to the pedestrian experience. And what that means is being able to provide on-street parking as well as providing pedestrian freedom within the walking areas. So that means wider sidewalks. It also looks at wanting to provide more of that tourist experience where you're allowing for RV parking, as well as other active parking in the downtown core. Public spaces policies. So there are policies that are outlined in the DARP. The 4 policies, again, are safety, inclusivity, 4-season design, wayfinding, and amenities and furnishings. So one of the policies, again, safety and inclusivity. So again, this is making sure that the DARP, when things are being redesigned, whether it be through development or through capital projects, these types of initiatives are looked at in those designs and are encompassed within the redevelopment. Hearing none, moving on. 4-season design. So again, providing that opportunity for all year round usage, providing street furniture that when you sit on it, you don't feel the cold, providing shade as in trees, providing lighting for effective use in the winter months, etc. Wayfinding. So this is the ability to figure out where you're going and how you're going to get there. So right now we've done some, what I would consider directional signage in the downtown core. We've done some directional signage throughout the community. Wayfinding gets into greater detail. It starts to provide maps and distance calculations to key activities within the community. So for instance, if you're down at the main stop for rails to trails, wayfinding would provide you a map showing where the key locations are in vicinity to you, how long it gets for you to get there, and options for those activities in those areas.
Yeah, I just have a question on wayfinding because I noticed later on that there's a wayfinding strategy. So is that in the policy itself or is that a different document?
So that's a different document. So through the chair to Councilor O'Neill, that's a different document. So that wayfinding strategy was developed, I believe, last year. It was presented to the previous council. It has not been brought forward to this council yet. So it will be coming in the coming months for you guys to see and review. So amenities and free street furnishings or furnishings period. So again, looking at putting in waste receptacles and recycling bins with the caveat that recycling bins would be geared more towards your pop bottles, not general recycling. That turns into a little bit of a collection nightmare for operations. So we wouldn't encourage general recycling, but definitely pop bottles and cans. Multifunction furnishings, so planters being integrated into seating areas, charging stations. So places are specific physical locations within the downtown that are identified as high impact opportunity for revitalization. So there's a whole bunch of spaces that are, or places that are identified in the DARP. So some of them are Centennial Park, Rotary Park, Center Street North Plaza, Coal Miners Memorial Park, 3rd Avenue and Promenade intersection, Spurline Trail connection, Munchie Park, Triangle Plaza, the New Road connection, and the Fifth Street Gateway. There's also actions identified in the DARP. So these are upgrades, physical improvements. We're going to go over some high level ones of the high supports that were identified in the DARP development. So for physical improvements, we're looking at street beautification, public washrooms, recycling bins. Initiatives, so public sector support tools. So these are things that development team would be looking at more than the operational side or the capital side. So these initiatives designed to spark business growth, improve storefronts, support housing development, and reduce vacancy. So some of the things that includes are the seasonal patios, designated food truck zones, storefront enhancement grants, and pop-up business programs. Some of the activities, so these are programs and events. And this would be geared more towards our community and recreational services division. So again, looking at promoting our Festival of Lights more, outdoor concerts and buskings in the downtown core, year-round farmers markets, outdoor movies. So these are some of the high support activities that were identified in the DARP. There are other ones, and the list is very exhaustive, but these were the high support ones. So actions. So this was stuff that was more of the gearing towards the studies, the initiatives, the additional research that needs to be done. So these are downtown initiative websites, downtown district branding, wayfinding strategy, downtown coordinator position, heritage inventory maintenance. So these are the types of things that can be done as studies that will then drive other capital improvements or other initiatives. So see, these are some of the achievements to date in regards to the DARP. So we were successful in completing Centennial Park. Coal Miners Memorial Park has been completed. Munchie Park has been completed. The Triangle Plaza, which is the downtown plaza, which is on 1st Street East. West. And the new road connection. So achievements to date, which are actions. So these were the high supports. So we've done public washrooms. So those are the washrooms available at the plaza. The seasonal patio initiatives, which again is done every year for the last 3 years. We've done some designated food truck areas. We have promoted storefront enhancement grants. We do encourage the Festival of Lights, and we have completed a wayfinding strategy.
When you say high support, what do you mean high support?
So when
Just
the
for clarification.
sorry, Your Worship, when the DARP was developed, these were from the committee that was developed for this and public engagement and incurred when the DARP was developed. These are some of the things that public engagement showed as high support. So this was the public saying, these are the things we want in our downtown area.
So it was highly supported.
Highly supported,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
So the public,
I was just
wanted it.
wondering if it means a lot of power lines or a lot of water lines going in there or something, right? Just wanted to get that clarified.
Could you further please let us know what is highly supported by the public? Like how many people actually supported this? Are we talking about the 6 people on the streetscape or are we talking about a larger number of people?
So through the chair to the council, I'm not sure how many people are actually engaged as part of the original DARP. I'm assuming they did a few open houses, so you would have had general community coming out to say, this is what we'd like to see. I believe there was a DARP committee. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the larger engagements we did with respect to putting together a policy and bylaw. I can provide exact numbers. I don't have them.
So current projects, we are in the Center Street detailed design phase. So this was a detailed design initiative to look at Center Street between Riverside Drive and Railway Avenue East. We did engage a task force. That task force is represented by both the business community and the general public. They were asked to look at 5 areas, which was street furniture, sidewalk widths and design details, tree density and placement, general landscape improvements, and streetlight options. The task force will be presenting to the committee of the whole in June in regards to their final direction and final decisions. So those plans will be coming to the next committee or to the committee of the whole in June. So next steps. So items still to be addressed. So there's short-term, medium-term, and long-term projects or goals. Universal accessibility upgrades, street beautification, outdoor concerts and busking, outdoor movies, year-round farmers market. I did put a caveat on that we do provide a farmers market to BCF on the off season, but the idea of the DARP was to actually have the farmers market in the downtown core as part of the business area. A Santa Claus parade, outdoor games. So this would be your large versions of chess or other types of ping pong, etc. And the tourist info center relocation satellite. So that was bringing that particular engagement into the downtown core as part of a seasonal outfit. Medium term, mural projects, urban tree canopy. So again, this is increasing our tree canopy in the urban area. We are doing, or we have applied for a tree canopy assessment and upgrade strategy through FCM. We have successfully gone to the second round of reviews, so hopefully we hear something in the next couple months. Improving cycling infrastructure, creating a downtown playground, trail and RV parking, alley activation. So this is redeveloping your alleys as passive areas to do busking, that kind of stuff. And then Rotary Park redevelopment.
Councillor McNeil.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that RV parking and noted that it's under the 5 to 10 years. So I know with that there's a need for that fairly soon, and so I just thought with that 6th Avenue road, the new road, there is the ability. So is this 5 years from the time that the project, like 2021, when the DARP was first started? So we are then basically in that 5-year mark.
This is Cheddar Councilman. Yes. So these short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals were as per the inception of the DARP. So yes, we are in that 5 to 10 year.
Your alley activation. Did you say busking in the back alleys?
Yes, Your
And-
Worship.
And that
busking
was
the
in,
back.
this is in the plan.
So that's just a suggestion. So I don't think there's actually details within the plan saying that you shall do busking in the back alleys. But those are some of the things you would do to activate your alleys. But I'll leave you with that, and you guys can giggle about it for the rest of the night.
Okay.
And I did say
All right.
busking, not.
Our next,
So to be perfectly honest, if council wants, City of Penticton did this very well. To be honest,
Penticton,
yes.
okay.
They activated their back alleys, and yes, they are actually part of their downtown experience now. So long-term goals, shared streets, new pedestrian cyclist bridge. So this is a bridge parallel to the Gordon Taylor Bridge that would be strictly for pedestrian and cycling use. That is actually identified in the DARP. Off-leash dog park, library pop-ups, post-secondary downtown campus, downtown grocery store, Center Street North Plaza, Spur Line connection, and Fifth Street Gateway. So that's the main intersection coming into town at 9, 10, 56, and 5th Ave. Or sorry, 5th Street. So what's coming to the community tonight? So defining the projects moving forward, looking at 2027 and beyond, what those projects look like, what the committee wants to see moving forward from the DARP, if anything. Just to give the committee some idea of the costs associated with some of these projects. Again, these are Class D cost estimates, plus or minus 30%. Example would be Center Street. Could be upwards of 2 to 3 million. It could be as low as half. It all depends on the establishment of the road right away, what your cross section is going to look like. If you're going to put in exactly what's there, $500,000 a block. If you're going to improvement, you could go to $1 million a block. If you want to make it the Cadillac of all Cadillacs, you could do $3.5 million a block. So it'll be whatever council decides that they want to do in regards to funding these projects. Intersection improvement at 5th Street East. So again, that's 9, 10, and 56. Anywhere from $4 to $6 million. So depending on, again, what your intersection improvement looks like. This is gearing that intersection to a roundabout to give you that full engagement of tourism coming into the valley, providing that awe moment with a centerpiece, and again, $4 to $6 million. Or you could just put up some simple signage on the side of the roads going, "Welcome to the downtown core." So again, there's a variety of things that this can be done, but again, there's no true definition within the DARP. There's some ideas, there's some philosophies, but there's no true programs or true projects. Center Street North Plaza. So this is the connection piece between Center Street and Centennial Park. This is between what was the BCF and the curling rink, but that can be redeveloped. So that could be anywhere from $1 million to $3 million. Again, depends if you want to go with basics or Cadillacs. You could go as low as $500,000 and just pave it and put no vegetation improvements, no nothing. Just pave a path. Redevelopment of Rotary Park. So again, Rotary Park has got a lot of infrastructure in it. So you've got the fountain, you've got the splash park. So again, redevelopment of that area could be upwards of $3.5 million, depending on what you put back in the ground. The Spur Line rail connection. So this is the old Spur Line rail connection between the courthouse and the residential area. So again, if you're just going to pave it, $150,000. If you're going to pave it, put trees in, seating, try to make it cohesive with what you're doing to the downtown core and Center Street, you could be upwards of $500,000. And then downtown playground. So it was identified in the DARP that a downtown playground was something that was wanted by the community. It was supposed to be dino themed. $300,000 to $600,000, or $300,000 to $600,000. Sorry, depending again if we need to acquire land. If we don't, are we going to revitalize an existing piece of property? Do we need to demo what's on there, etc.? So these prices are all over the place. So again, this all depends on the direction in which the committee or council decides to go on in regards to these projects. So these are some of the keywords coming out of the DARP. Again, big word search. So again, public spaces, Main Street, upgrades, wayfinding. So these are some of the words you find in repetition within the DARP. So there is an actual DARP website or web page on our website. So if you want the actual details of the DARP itself, it is on www.drumheller.ca. Just search DARP and you will see all that has been done to date. That is it for my presentation, committee. Is there any more questions?
No, thanks for that. I mean, that was it's an overview of the hopes and dreams of from 5 years ago. And you know, some of the things are doable, and some of the things are big plans. I guess we just pick things we can work on and move forward in that direction. And that's what you're looking for, right? Some direction.
So, Your Worship, there are there is a recommendation before the committee. There's also alternative direction within the RFD. So the alternative direction is that the committee of the whole direct administration and bring the following downtown area revitalization plan related projects to be presented to council as part of the 2027 5-year financial plan. And those are 3 projects that are being identified by the committee. Option 2 is that the committee of the whole recommend to council that the downtown area revitalization plan capital program be reviewed and paused until full financial picture can be presented and discussed. And then the third option, that the committee of the whole accept the downtown area revitalization plan report as information. The actual recommendation before the committee tonight is that the committee of the whole accept the downtown area revitalization plan progress update as information and recommend to council that all projects related to DARP be presented as part of the 2027 5-year capital plan.
Okay, can I get a motion? Deputy Mayor Kalapa?
I'll make that motion that the committee of the whole accept the downtown area revitalization plan progress update as information and recommend to council that all projects related to DARP be presented as part of the 2027 5-year capital plan.
Right on, thanks for that. Seconder, Councillor Hardy. Any questions? Any questions for him right here? Councillor Miller?
Thank you. I've got a few questions and comments, and they're a little bit all over the place in the presentation. So, with regards to defensive architecture, I had to look up what that means. And it says in the presentation that there should be none of that. My thought is that defensive architecture, do you guys know what that means? Okay, so defensive architecture is like if there's a bench, for example, and then you can put some little parts on the side so that skateboarders can't skate on it and, you know, destroy it. That kind of thing. Or, yeah. So my thought is that so far our one public restroom, the Hoodoo, we can't even have a change table in it currently because of the repeated desecration and vandalism. So I think we need to employ defensive architecture strategically in some of these projects so that the community can get the full benefit from them. I also wanted to ask, I saw that there's a memorial bench program policy that was set to be presented to council in December 2025. And I'm just wondering where that might be on the timeline.
So the memorial bench policy was suspended in late 2024 for review. We're currently in the process of actually redeveloping that policy, not as a memorial bench policy, but actually a memorial policy. So we'll be coming back to the committee of the whole. I'm hoping July, August for initial discussion, and then looking at how we move forward with that memorial policy.
Okay, thank you. Also, what is meant by downtown district branding?
So I'm going to go on a limb on this one. What I've seen in other communities is so they've outlined 4 different districts. So they have the downtown district. So basically what you would do is you would start to encourage those areas to sell themselves as those districts. So you would actually identify them in particular locations, put up signage saying you are now entering residential district west, and making sure that that residential district west is set up and sold as residential district west. And then as you're entering the downtown district, you would then present signage as you're entering the downtown district and saying, hey, you're entering the downtown district. This is what the downtown district has to offer. And again, that would start to bring in your wayfinding as well, because then you'd be able to say, as part of the downtown district, you want to go to the residential west. Da, 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 da. So that's what's meant by defining those districts and supporting those districts.
I see. Thank you. So another point on the presentation was inclusivity. So the unique needs of both our young residents and our elderly residents need to be taken into consideration, and I'm wondering how that's going to be accomplished.
Through the chair to Councillor Miller, strategically, it's going to be an interesting discussion with yourselves in regards to the committee and council and how we integrate both of those vantage points into design. They are very unique and have very differing views on how they want to see the downtown core. Your younger generation, again, wants to see pedestrian friendly. They want to see it open. They want to see it well treated. They want to see the landscaping, the architecture, the public art, that kind of stuff. You get into the older generation, they want to see accessibility. They don't want to trip over things. They don't want any impediment to getting to their businesses, etc. So trying to balance that, yes, it's going to be an art, and it'll try to be encompassed with any designs that we do. We probably won't win all sides of the fence.
Okay, yeah, and above and beyond that, there's a lot of parents of young children that go through our downtown, and we need to make sure that it's child friendly as well and friendly to, people with strollers and that kind of thing. Okay, with regards to the Tourist Information Center, it kind of sounded like this one might be not so much the way of the future anymore. I'm hoping council will have some conversations about that at some point.
Through the chair, I'll comment on that. So with the chamber taking that step back from the visitor information or from the world's largest dinosaur, the question comes up, what about the visitor information center? I do find their comments about the trends going down. I loved that Councillor McNeil asked the question, how long of a trend was that established? And it's been pretty steady for the last few years. I know that across the province there is a trend for visitor information centers to be less relied upon. However, when you're a tourist location such as Drumheller, it's quite the opposite. If you're Banff, you're going to have a visitor information center. If you're a major tourism spot, you're going to have a visitor information center. Otherwise, it'll be odd. So in 4 more years, when they take that step back from the world's largest dinosaur, there is that question, what about the visitor information center? Currently, the way the lease is built, it's actually a part of the schedule that they provide that service on our behalf, which is why we provide them with $63,500 as part of our portion of that, recognizing that they do generate other revenue from the store and from everything else that's going on there. So I understand that that portion was what was the fair component in the amount that the town felt at the time for providing that service on our behalf to our community.
Thank you. It also sounded to me like the Tourist Information Center isn't making money. So that raises the question, why should our residents be paying for something that they're getting nothing back from? I also was looking into Travel Alberta just recently, I believe it was last year, ended support of the Canmore Tourist Information Center, and that was the last one that was provincially funded. So now, yeah, municipalities are supporting them on their own, and I would just like to make sure as we move forward into the future that this is something that our residents are actually getting something out of. So if it's costing $63,000+ a year, like how are we going to recover it so that our residents aren't footing the bill for that? It can be a conversation for another day. Absolutely. It's just something that I wanted to raise.
Absolutely. The other thing I would add is the revenue that they're recognizing from the store and from everything else going on, that's, if you were to do just a visitor information center as an information center, why not do it right at town hall? We can provide information right where we are. Um, it's when you supplement it with the other services or the other avenues of making money, world's largest dinosaur, and to supplement the services that you're providing as an information center. So definitely, visitor information centers do not make money. That's 100% accurate.
Yes, thank you. So then, just one on for the council, and then I'm done. Um, our mayor mentioned that there's people around who like to come here to look at the sky and look at the stars and look at different constellations and stuff up there. So I came across dark sky communities. And I'm wondering if that's something that council would be interested in discussing further. There are some various benefits to doing it. It might be something that we want to look into, especially if we're looking at replacing lighting downtown, which I understand is well overdue at this point.
Dark sky communities, there's you know, whole tourism thing based on dark sky, and there's you know, with our you know, very little light pollution from our, you know, not having a big town, and that there's definitely possibilities, but you know, that has to be taken up by business, right? And as far as the dark sky over our downtown area there, I think you're already, there's too much light to call it a dark sky. We got to get further out towards, you know, the Atlas has a really good parking lot there. The Hoodoos, there's a dark sky opportunity there. You know, some of the other things that are a little further out. I think we just have a little bit too much light for that. Although I do know one guy in Munson, I believe. He has actually bought himself a little telescope, and he's got it aimed at the sky, and he's actually got a website, and that's all he do is monitor the sky. So
Communities can get designations as dark sky communities. Like there are cities, Fulda in Germany. There's cities down in Arizona. Like there's a number of cities that over the course of years have just gradually implemented that, and then you can actually get status, and it's something that people seek out, especially as tourists. They seek out to go and visit places like that. So I don't know if it's something we want to. I can forward council the website and just get that information into your hands anyway. Just a thought.
I know that's a whole different way of looking at your stuff. It's your you know, all your street lights, everything like that. That's a whole it's a whole technology, you know, to look at, to do that, make it possible. So there's definitely something, you know, that a person could look at. I mean, if we're looking at DARP, there's no reason we can't be looking at that. Oh, Councillor McNeil. Oh,
I just have one more comment, and I just wanted to add that I recommend when this is brought to council, the DARP, for the review for the 2027 capital plan, it would be really helpful to understand what's under the ground and kind of the status in terms of the utilities. So if we're looking at the recommendations to improve Center Street, I'd really like to understand, for example, what's underneath Center Street. Where are we at in terms of what we have to replace for infrastructure?
So through the chair to Councilor Mayor, so that assessment has been completed and that will be part of the cost estimates to redo Center Street. So you guys will have a pretty good idea of what those utility costs will be. So we've done full analysis of our water, wastewater, and storm systems.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
anybody else? Councillor Hanson, you had something there? No? Anyone else? No? All right. So I guess we'll go to our vote. So all in favor? Okay, carried. All right, now, Hoodoo parking lot. On to 5.4.2, the Hoodoo parking lot. And you're back on, Mr. Bromsey.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yes, there is an overarching request for decision in regards to this particular ask of the committee. So just going to give you a high level overview of why this is being provided to the community, and then we're going to start talking design. So the parking lot was identified by the previous council as a high request need of the province to redevelop it. Originally, Travel Alberta came into town and asked for some potential shovel-ready projects that could be presented to the province to have the province fund. This project was identified as one of those shovel-ready projects. So that started the design process. Previous to that, there were some conceptual designs done to kind of give Travel Alberta some ideas on what we're looking at. One of those designs was forwarded to the province for review, and that is what triggered this design. So there are some variations to what's being presented to the committee tonight in regards to the parking lot. What I'm hoping to do is have a conversation with you guys in regards to some of the features, what the committee is looking for. If there's anything that jumps out and is, nope, we don't want that, or wow, you're doing that, why, type comments. So I'm just going to jump in right into design. So there's two designs presented to the committee tonight. There isn't much of a deviation between the two, and it's basically to do with the location of parking, as well as a pedestrian, what we consider a viewpoint on one of the knolls that is out at the existing parking site. So basically, what we're trying to do is provide ample parking for the visitation that is seen out there. There's an excessive amount of parking. There's RV parking. There's truck and trailer parking. There is availability for chargers. So we have designed charging for electric vehicles. There's an area for pedestrian or for lunches, etc. There's also an area for the development of more vendors. We did a central access and egress point to allow for closure during off season. So basically the lower parking lot would be closed and the upper parking lot would be left open to minimize our snow removal requirements. So those are the high level design features. If there's any comments from the committee in regards to it, I'm all ears.
Oh yes, I've got a wow, you're doing that, why? The trees at the Hoodoos, they're not gonna grow out there. There's not a single tree at the Hoodoo right now. Who came up with that?
So landscaping is always a critical point in any design, and again, you're trying to encourage more than 15 seconds of visitation. So the soils would be rehabilitated to allow for tree growth. So this wouldn't just be throw it in the ground as is. Soils would be brought in to make sure that the trees actually do grow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're familiar with that strategy. Okay. What would be the cost of maintaining the electronic changing stall or charging stalls long term?
It would be energy. So whatever the going rate of energy is at the time, which we would try to recoup in charging fees. So basically your cost would be, depending on the level of chargers, I think we're proposing level 3s. You're probably looking at a replacement cost of upwards of $230,000. And depending on how the tech changes over the next 5 to 10 years, you could be replacing them in 5 to 10 years. And hopefully as the tech becomes better, the costs come down. And as EVs become more popular, again, this is a gamble. So this is something that's been identified that this community does lack is accessible EV charging. We thought this would be a great idea to put it out there, as it would be hopefully funded by the province and not us.
Right. Yeah, thanks. I'm just thinking about the long-term costs of it because after the province's initial $2 million, was it? Then that falls onto the municipality to maintain after that. Another thought of mine was the lighting. people go out there at the time of the year when it's light longer than any other time of the year. So to me, that just seemed unnecessary. I was also wondering if there was a consideration, just because it's not super clear to me on this map here, of fencing outside of the parking area, or at least on key borders of the parking area, so we don't have another situation like we've got now when the parking lot fills up that people drive off the edge of it and then create their new parking area in the dirt beside it.
So this whole area is surrounded by curb and gutter. So there's a concrete curb, and with the vegetation that would actually be raised up. So they'd be driving over a concrete curb, as well as the vegetation areas if they decide to make a beeline for the road. So the idea of this is to confine that vehicular traffic to the paved areas.
Thank you. My last one. So considering what we've been hearing and talking about lately with the hoodoos being the whole area crossing different borders and boundaries of different people's property, just to confirm that this whole sketch here is on municipal land?
So through the chair council, yes, you are correct. So that's 100% on municipal property.
Thank you.
You know, you know, the trees are it's a stretch to me to see anything survive out there. Has there been any thought about just putting in like, you know, some kind of a screen? There's a lot of areas that just have, you know, for sunscreens, right? So that that gives you your shade and everything. It might be more, you know, long-term effective than trying to replace a pile of dirt enough to get a tree to grow out there, because yeah, that whole area there, as much as it's you know, there is a little bit of scrub brush that grows down in the low side there, but that have you thought about that at all? That, you know, just posts and those sunscreen kind of things, you know?
So those are being installed around the lunch area. So there is shade structures being proposed. If the committee is looking to remove all the landscaping, we can. It's going to be bare. So you basically have concrete and sand and pavement. So just
I have, and I've got pictures. It was 45 degrees out there. There's not much that survives out there, and you know, there's no readily available water to be able to dump on anything there. And that there's actually right over by the hoodoos there. There was a little willow tree that I kept dumping my water out on when I was over there, and you know, it was amazing that thing lived. It is a struggle for things to survive in that area. But yeah, no. How about this area in the dark part there? Is that like a, well, that's like a picnic area or something over there? On it would be on the east side. Where? You moved it too much. Just it's too hard for me to see. Anybody else got a question?
Is this
Counselor
using the existing entranceway into the hoodoos?
no, this is actually shifting the entranceway to the west. So that eliminates that pedestrian / vehicle interface.
Yep, Counselor McNeil.
Thank you. I just have a few questions for you. I was trying to understand in terms of the washrooms, how many are in this? Is it about 4 altogether?
So through the chair to council, I don't think those details have been determined to this
Okay.
point. So if that's something that the committee wants to see is more washrooms, we can do that. If they want to see less, that's fine. Probably what is proposed is 2 male and 2 female.
It did occur to me that there probably would be a need for more washrooms, just given that there would be bus parking there, and with how popular we know this particular site is during the summer months. Are these also like septic toilets?
So through the chair to the councilor, yes, so these would be pit toilets, but with running water.
Okay, great, thank you. I noted in this drawing as well that there would be 5 sea cans or 5 vendor spaces. And yeah, just a comment that I have, just with the current sea cans that are out there right now, I don't find them particularly attractive. I think they really detract from the site. So I'm hopeful that there could be some, I guess, some change in that regard to make these facilities more attractive. So that's just a consideration. I do like the idea of landscaping, but I think, yeah, we really have to be careful with trees. But I recognize that there are locally, like local cactus and sagebrush, and a lot of those native plants that do grow and flourish in this environment. So I think it is possible if that is done and done correctly. And not so much with bark or mulch, but I think some gravel would be really nice. And we have the local shale, the cinder, the red cinder, that would be, I think, a nice addition. The other thought I had or question I had around this is, do we have any idea for an estimated construction timeline and how long the site would be closed?
Through the chair, council, 100% on funding. So if the province comes through and this is shovel ready, we'll start moving forward when that approval is provided. There is no guarantee that this funding is going to be provided to the town, so it could be 10 years before this ever comes to fruition, unless council wants to fund it.
Okay, and then I guess the other piece that I wanted to ask about, because I didn't see anything in the plans for interpretive signage. And I really think that, this probably is a cost share or something with the province on this, but I think interpretive signage is key. There is a limited amount of signage out there right now. And yeah, I'm very concerned, certainly from a safety aspect, um, liability concerns with this whole site, but also the environmental degradation that is occurring there, pretty much on a daily basis in the summertime. So hopefully signing and interpretive programs could go hand in hand, and how we then advocate the need for this with the province is so important.
Uh, just to add to the conversation a bit and to speak that through the chair, I can tell you that historically the town did have an agreement with the Ministry of Culture, where they did provide staff from an interpretive side. However, that ended in the early 2012, 2013 era. We also just last year had partnered with Travel Drumheller under the direction of the Ministry of Tourism for us to submit a capital request for this parking lot and um, more to for capital funding for this year. However, it was a very extensive application. However, we were not successful at that point. That said, in the fall, after we found out we didn't get the funding directly, they did, um, tourism did encourage us to do this shovel ready and to do 1 or 2 shovel ready projects in the anticipation of future grant funding. So when those options were brought to the previous council, this was the project that came as the highest priority for the region, and has been noted for a number of years as needing to be addressed. So that's kind of a little bit of background on that.
Great, thank you for that. And yeah, sorry, I think that's everything.
Deputy Mayor.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, no, I like both plans. I don't really have a preference in each one. As far as landscaping goes, I do understand the concern, but I mean, hopefully, I think that it is important to try to make it a usable site that makes it welcoming. So I would hope that we keep that in, but make sure that it is viable. There's got to be ways around it. The fact that we do have landscape designers doing it, I'm hoping that it's not just pictures drawn on the thing and there's a concrete plan for it. So.
Councillor McNeil?
Thank you. I'll be really quick. I'm also thinking with the vehicle charging stations that vendors could take those over and, essentially, that was my understanding that with a couple of the vehicle charging stations here in the town already. And so as the cars become more popular, there is a need for them. But I think it should be up to vendors and commercial entities.
Anyone else? I got a little issue with the sea cans there. I know that the sea cans aren't very pretty, but they're secure. And the vendors that are out there, I mean, that's out in the middle of nowhere over there, and they're not getting their windows kicked in, and all their stock or their hardware robbed out of there every couple months. So that's one of the advantages of having the sea cans as their place of business out there. Just thought I'd add that there. And as far as the trees go, I had to water our trees in East Cooley every 3 days, or else they were dead. But that's just there. All right, Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I think as far as vegetation goes, if you look at the south entrance coming into Drumheller, it's got irrigation on it, and all the trees that are growing there have been stunned. They only go to a certain height, right? Because there's no nutrients or anything in the ground, so they'll only do so much. There's a few other places, playgrounds up in Hunt, up in the back there, same thing. The trees that were planted and everything around there, and it takes a lot of water just to keep it going the way it is. And the same thing, they're all short. They're not thriving, but they're surviving. So definitely something to look at. And if we were going to pay for water, well, that gets expensive.
All right, any more? Any other questions? Any other concerns? Any other input? No? All right. Oh, Councillor Hanson.
I got one more I wanted to ask earlier, with down at the cenotaph. We got our miner out here standing. He scares the crap out of me every time we come out of here. I think somebody's standing there. But I think it would look really nice if we put 4 of them, the same thing, the metal ones, behind the cenotaph, so they look like they're guarding it. 2 on each side of it, towards the back of it, where the bricks end there. I think that would look really good, but just my opinion.
I hear what you're saying. Make it look like the unknown soldier in downtown in Ottawa. I get what you're saying there, but for here, do we got anything further for our deal here? Nothing. We've already done our first and second. So all in favor? All right. Okay. Did we?
Yeah.
Point
of order, there's no
I
motion.
thought we had our discussion. Okay, all right, my mistake. Okay. Well, the motion's right there. Somebody gonna say the motion? So we got a motion, okay, Councillor McNeil?
Thank you. I move that the Committee of the Whole accepts the Hoodoo parking lot redevelopment design report as information.
Okay, thank you for that. Seconder, Councillor Miller. All in favor now? Okay, now it's all carried, all proper. My mistake, I thought we were having a discussion, so I thought we voted. All right, so that's that. And now we move into a closed session. Okay, 6.1, can I get someone to, make a motion for that one? Counselor Miller.
I move that the Committee of the Whole closes the meeting to the public at 7:40 p.m. to discuss personnel as per ATIA 20. Disclosure harmful to personal privacy, ATIA 28, local public body confidences, and ATIA 29, advice from officials.
Okay, thank you for that. Can I get a seconder? Counselor McNeil, all in favor? Okay, with that, we'll close the motion, we'll close the meeting to the public. Thank you for joining us, and we're done.